everybody, Sol here, and I just need a moment of your time before I start the review. You may be wondering how you, humble viewer, can help support this show directly. Well, you can contribute to my lovely Patreon, that's how. On my Patreon, I have a whole whack load of fantastic rewards and various donation tiers. These rewards range from getting your name in the credits of every Eye of Sol review, to receiving a special For Your Eyes Only behind-the-scenes clip or photo from the show, to a private Google Hangout chat with me and other donators, to a personalized, signed and laminated piece of art from the show sent to the address of your choosing, and at the top tiers, you can request anything animated for me to review. Let's face it, guys, YouTube isn't what it used to be. With your help, we can bypass the stupid, lame systems that YouTube uses to cheat money out of the hardworking people who upload to their website every single day. And you can rest assured that 100% of your donation goes directly towards producing the show. I mean, come on. Would I lie to you? So if you'd like to check out my Patreon page, it's listed in the description below, as well as on the end card at the end of the review. And now then, on with the review.
So, you're from the past?
Yes.
And you say, I'm responsible for World War XII because of that show.
Yes.
So then, you brought a DVD copy of the exact show to the future that causes this war, and you're giving it to me to review, so that it will enrage me and cause this war to start?
Yep.
Well, you're an idiot. Besides, I was under the impression that you didn't want to do World War XII, you didn't want it to happen, and you didn't want to do a future timeline story either, so why are you even here?
When I still had my powers, and I still had access to the infinite knowledge of the history book, I saw a glimpse of the future. A future Sol who would start a world war, and this DVD was there!
That's flawless logic, but you can rest easy, Sol. I already reviewed the show. I did a long time ago. I reviewed it, and everything was fine. The world didn't end, there was no wars, everything was fine. Except for the giant killer marmosets. But now, you should go back to your own time and review the show so that this all makes sense. Because in the meantime, I have to get to my own review of Boss Baby 147.
Say what?
Planet Sheen is oh so funky.
Okay, I get that.
Hey everybody, Sol here. I have only one rule here. If it's animated, I'll comment on it. And it turns out the me from the future is a bit of a smarmy bitch. She was using wordplays and shit to weasel out of reviewing the Planet Sheen cartoon, and so now I've been roped into it. That is so fucking unfair. I mean, just how unfair is that? Like, seriously, that is so unfair. Planet Sheen is a CG animated series produced originally by Core and then later by Bardell Entertainment, and is the third and final installment in the Jimmy Neutron series. The series aired on Nickelodeon with a total of 26 episodes over one season, which took nearly 3 years to come out due to the original production company going defunct. Okay, so since I've been ruthlessly roped into doing a review of a cartoon series that has the potential to cause mass death, I guess we should get started, right? No time like the present, huh? So, considering how this franchise had a plot that started out basic, then it was boiled down to be even more basic, how could it possibly be watered down anymore? Well, here's how. One unassuming day, Sheen Estevez wanders into Jimmy Neutron's laboratory, ignores the warning signs telling him not to activate his rocket, and then launches himself into space. Sheen then lands on a planet called Xenu, which surprisingly is not inhabited exclusively by Scientologists, and he instantly ingratiates himself with the local populace. Sheen now has to repair his rocket and return home, all the while being antagonized by the snooty and high-strung Xenunian named Dorcas. Yes, his name is Dorcas. It's too bad I'm already dead, because I really want to kill myself right now. Okay, so this plot, in its most bare minimum form, is very standard, but fine, I suppose? Where its massive stumbling blocks come from isn't in its concept, though, but rather its feeble, embarrassing, absolutely face-palmingly pathetic execution. But we'll get to that in good time, mates. For now, I'm just starting to see why this cartoon might be capable of causing a giant international skirmish. Now, the part that really stood out in this series' predecessor was the character dynamic, and how well all the characters' personalities played off of one another. With that being said, let's see how well this series maintains that sense of character dynamic. If at all. And now, the protagonist is Sheen Estevez, who tries to invoke the same spastic, unhinged energy that he exuded in the previous series, but he just can't. It's probably because he's run out of crack. After all, just look at his eyes. Those shadows are those of a withdrawing addict for sure. Anyway, Sheen, for some reason, is almost universally loved by the inhabitants of Xenu, and he takes advantage of their kindness and admiration by just being completely insufferable. He tries to capture some sort of insouciant, Bugs Bunny-like attitude towards his own situation, but it just falls utterly flat and leaves nothing tangible to enjoy. Keep your ears open, you're gonna be hearing that word a lot. Sheen unfortunately tips the proverbial scale in his portrayal here and plummets straight into the obnoxious side of comic relief characters. And the reason for that is because he's been upgraded to protagonist status. Sheen was never meant to own the spotlight, he was only meant to share it, so all charm and likability is thrown straight out the window. And I'm about to join him. Next are some extraneous characters, such as Asifa, a Glimorian warrior princess and Sheen's new love interest. Asifa is nothing to me, just nothing at all. I'm not going to waste any time talking about her because she's as insignificant to me as a piece of spearmint gum or my own sense of self-worth. Next is Mr. Nesmith, a hyper-intelligent monkey who also crash-landed on Xenu. Well, I'll say this for certain, he's definitely no Bobo Haha, or Poopy Joe, or Beppo the Super Monkey. Really, he's nothing at all. Oh hey look, there's that word again! Man, they can't even make the fucking chimp sidekick funny! That's pretty pathetic, even for this show. Then there's Doppy, a Carl Wheezer look and sound alike who acts exactly like Carl and therefore isn't worth going into any detail whatsoever. Really, you may think I'm being lazy by not describing these characters, but trust me when I say that the details are 100% irrelevant. It's not like the show gives a shit about its characters, so why should I? Anyway, lastly is the antagonist named Dorcas. Dorcas was the royal advisor until Sheen showed up, and he vows revenge against Sheen for knocking his house down. Dorcas is a very archetypal cunning villain who can never seem to foil the protagonist's shenanigans despite his superior intellect. And that is just, well, nothing. Oh, there it is again! Man, what a feeble rundown of characters. Those have to be the weakest characters I've seen drag their sad, sorry carcasses onto the screen in quite a while. So we're gonna pass on to bluer skies now, because I gotta save my vitriol for later. But trust me, it's gonna come bubbling out of here like a molten chocolate lava cake! So I always make it my business to try and find something good to say about the things I'm reviewing, even if they are the worst things ever. Be it a really cheesy theme song, or an ironic enjoyment, or a singular feat by a misguided man, Or, well, the fact that it could have been a lot worse. And I'm gonna stick to that form real good here. I will find something good to say about this series. I just gotta take a real close look. Oh, there, I think I found something. Look, there's no denying that basically everything about this series sucks hard, but if you manage to make it to the credits scroll without vomiting messily all over your cardigan, then you'll see that this series does have some good voice actors attached, like Jeff Glenn Bennett, Candy Milo, Fred Tatasciore, and of course the ever-brilliant Rob Paulsen. Now, admittedly, the dialogue they spout is nothing short of insipid, but I could never bring myself to hate what they do. You tried your best, guys, and you get your meager recognition here. Okay, that's all. Yeah, seriously. And with that, let's move on to the grisly, gargantuan, fecal festoon that's draped over the series' neck like a wretched wreath of wickedness. You guys ready for this? Now, I've been able to stem the flow from my hate glands since I suffered through Where the Dead Go to Die, but no more! It's time to give them a good exercise and open them back up. Oh yeah. Hatred. Oh god, it's far too much terribleness. I just can't take it. We'll be here all month if I talk in depth. So, you all know what it's time for. Yeah, you do. It's time for Sol's laundry list of bullshit. Hey, it's been a while, hasn't it? Anyway, let's begin. Number 1. What the hell was anyone thinking? Okay, I'm gonna be real brutal here. Did everyone at Nickelodeon have a massive stroke the day this series was greenlit? How on earth could they have possibly thought that this concept would be profitable in any way, shape, or form? I realized that that stroke must have lasted a long while at the network, considering the programming the channel was airing at the time, but seriously, it's embarrassing. Number 2. Colonoscopies are funnier than this series. So the series tries to be funny all over the place, and normally I'd be fine with that. Although this series doesn't go for the Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius route, and instead goes for the Sonic Boom route. As in, it tries to incorporate short cutaway gags and wince-worthy random humor so bad that it officially made me sterile. Being random is fine, but only if you do it right. Because when you do it wrong, you get this sad display. Or even worse. Number 3. Fuck the past, we don't need it. For some inexplicable reason, this series completely forgets that it's actually a direct sequel to another series because it just flat out doesn't explain why Sheen isn't in love with or even mentions Libby Fulfax, why he doesn't remember his best friend Carl, or why Jimmy doesn't go looking for Sheen after he goes missing, even though he could definitely locate him in space. It's almost like they didn't give a shit. Oh wait. Number 4. This series is nauseating to look at. Not to say the original movie and series was a joy to look at, in fact the visual design was always one of its weakest aspects, but here it's like the original designs had a horrid forbidden love affair with Fanboy and Chum Chum and birthed this sloppy abomination into existence into some filthy wet gutter. Really, at least the original 2 Jimmy Neutron vehicles didn't make me want to evacuate the contents of my stomach into the nearest trash bin or pair of shoes. This one is the only one that holds that shit dripping metal, it does. Number 5. History is doomed to repeat itself. Having an inspiration is good, because it can inspire some real greatness in people who are dedicated enough to make their dreams a reality. Somebody must have not got the memo at Nickelodeon though, because this series' inspiration without a doubt has to be Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain. It really feels nearly exactly the same in its blatant lack of respect towards its own source material and audience, its taking of a potentially obnoxious side character and shunting them into the spotlight, and its supplanting of the scenario into an even more boring one. Apparently, this series doesn't know what a cautionary tale is. Number 6. Speaking of repeating. They say repetition is good for a developing brain, but I'd argue that repetition is not good for entertainment. And in this regard, this series could not be any more repetitive and formulaic even if they tried. I'm pretty sure they tried too. Every single plot feels exactly the same. Nothing progresses character-wise, the villain always has the same harebrained schemes and blah blah blah. It's a good thing remotes have that nifty change channel button, right? Number 7. Do you like pissing me off? As I was subjecting myself to this series, I couldn't help but notice that every single facet of the entire theme seemed like it was deliberately trying to piss me off. I don't often get that feeling, since I'm obviously not the center of the universe, at least not in this universe, but I have no doubt in my mind that this is the case here. It seemed like every passing second the series was sticking its plump, chapped butt cheeks in my face, slapping them around and screaming, "It's just a prank, bro!" like some loathsome YouTube prankster cunt. That's the only explanation I can find for this series' utter ineptitude, obnoxiousness, and pitiable existence. It's almost sociopathic in nature. It seems to enjoy nothing more than making us miserable. Number 8. If it's not a series for me, then who the fuck is this series for? I highly doubt that I've ever been this confused in my life when it comes to trying to fathom why this series exists. But even when you get past that inscrutable fact, you have to consider who the fuck this series is actually for. Adults? Nope, they'd find it far too aggravating and ugly. Kids? Probably not, because they'd find it too boring compared to other cartoons. Jimmy Neutron fans? Fuck no, they'd just get furious seeing their beloved franchise get turned into a shit-smeared joke. The only people that I can say this could possibly be for is victims of brain damage or actual aliens who have never been exposed to our animation or humor. Maybe they'd find it funny and worthwhile. Although I'm willing to bet they'd just consider it an act of hostility and probably blast us into oblivion. Alright, I think that's all the time I'm going to expend for this excruciating joke of a cartoon. Now, just to clarify, I'm not saying that the original Jimmy Neutron movie or series is sacred or anything, but you could see the effort there. You could tell there was heart and soul put into it, and a spark of creativity and care was always present. And that's just one of the reasons why this series pisses me off so much. It violates 2 out of 3 of my personal cardinal sins of cartoons. It's a mindless waste of time, and it's severely lacking in respect for its audience and its own source material. So this series can fuck right off to the depths of Hades for all I care, and never bring its cracky ugliness back to this world. Planet Sheen hurts in the same way that pulling your toes too far apart hurts. It may start out dull at first, but slowly the pain builds and builds and builds until you're left with nothing but a gaping, bloody wound that will never heal, and you're subjected to being a sobbing, crying, miserable mess on the ground. And if you think I'm being a little bit too overdramatic about it, well, yes, that is the name of the game. Really though, I don't think the Jimmy Neutron franchise is sacred or anything like that, but it definitely deserved a better final farewell than what it got. I give Planet Sheen Zero eyes out of 5. So, Planet Sheen. Is it watchable? Well, if you like drinking down the shredded, violated remains of the original series and the wretched afterbirth of Fanboy and Chum Chum, then you should seek some immediate help. But otherwise, that's a hard no. Is it enjoyable? Is it memorable? Well, those who watch it will always remember it because of its staggering awfulness. But really, this is just another failed Nickelodeon property that's doomed to rot forever in the network's filthy, disgusting chum bucket. Okay, you can come out of the corner now.
Oh, really? I can?
Yeah, and you can stop this whole being from the future thing, too.
Oh,
But I am from the future. No, you're not. I've seen future Sol, and you're not her. I know exactly who you are. Now. Of course you know who I am. I am you, from the future. You always did like to play pretend, didn't you, Sol? Well, yes. That is my thing. Would you like to stay up to date on the latest EyeofSol news, as well as contribute directly to my channel? You can find my Twitter page, my Facebook page, and my link to my Patreon page there on the screen for you, as well as in the description. I update the Twitter and Facebook pages every day, so if you want to check out news on the show as well as updates, just follow the links here.